All right, Ryan, what is this? Take two.
Yeah, round number two.
Don't even tell them what happened on the first time or on the first try. All right. Phil and Ryan, Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. Hey, look, like I told you before, before the take two, the bread will be on the table this week. All right. The bread will be on the table, and you can say it if you want to. I know you don't want to. But look, we're coming off of a big game recap, Ryan. And unfortunately, yes, I missed it. But hey, man, these UConn Huskies are for real as far as in conference. Now, speaking about March, I know we have a lot to get down to when it comes to that time, but we want to celebrate this win because that was a big one against Villanova. We got the last check-in coming up for you guys right here on Listen Up. It's the St. John's, Ryan, and they're kind of cold coming into this matchup. Only scored about 38 points in their last game against, who was it? Against Marquette. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. So with that said, but again, I want to thank you, extend my gratitude to you. And I know that the city of UConn was lighting up all because of that win, not only because of the win, but because of you. Again, one of our more successful videos. And that's all you, man. So again, I appreciate it. And let me say the third time, the bread will be on the table.
Well, I definitely appreciate everybody that showed out for that video. And yeah, I'm glad UConn got the win and proved both of us wrong. So definitely appreciate all of you guys that watched and showed support on that one.
All right, Ryan, last check-in. What do you have for me against St. John's? I know this is a little bit kind of uneven matchup, if you will. I mean, obviously, I'm taking UConn easily, and predictions, we'll get right down into it after comments at the end, like we always do. I really don't see where, I mean, St. John's definitely, their top scorer had 10 points in the last game against Marquette. Definitely, and again, St. John's, they can be a threat. We saw them score 70 before. But again, I looked at the last game and I'm like, man, I mean, if they have any kind of trouble like they did in that previous matchup, they won't last even a half before halftime against the UConn Huskies. Is definitely concerning as far as the St. John's Red Storm.
Well, they entered this game 19-7 overall, 10-7 in the conference, which puts them in fourth place. First game was on January 11th between these two teams, and UConn won, like you said, easily by 30 points. I believe that St. John's only had one loss, I think, at the time of that game. Now they have 7, of course, kind of struggling a little bit in the conference. But the only difference in that game, that AZ Fudd was available. She returned to the court, provided 14 points off the bench. Hopefully Caroline is okay from that hit she took on Saturday. Huskies really need her to keep producing off the bench. And I guess we'll find out about Dorka Juhas as well, spraining her ankle and somehow playing 35 minutes, but I guess she'll be able to finish the season without a problem. I know for sure that Dorka is going to be on the court as much as she possibly can, but Kadeja Bailey, Jayla Everett, and Danielle Patterson all scored double digits in the first matchup between these two teams, and the rest of the players didn't score above 4 points. So St. John's they don't take a lot of 3-pointers per game, and they're kind of undersized, I think. So UConn totally outmatches them, and I don't really think this game's going to be too close, like you kind of said. So I'm kind of expecting it to go the same way as the first matchup did. I think that was a huge win on Saturday for UConn, and hopefully they can ride the momentum out towards for these last 3 games and going into the Big East tournament, similar to what we saw last year. And hopefully on top of all that, kind of the cherry on top, if you will, hopefully we get to see AZ Fudd back as well.
Look at the comments, man. I can't wait to get there. Are so many good ones. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, when you talk about the St. John's Red Storm, you know, they actually have a Maryland native, and I wasn't aware of that until I saw the roster heading into this last check-in. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, because so the last matchup, obviously UConn won the last matchup
by 30 points. Yeah,
that's a concern right there. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to point out against Villanova, that was great defense that UConn came in with. And if they can actually take that basically against Villanova, and I kind of want to get in, it's the last check-in against St. John's. Not much that I had to, that I drew up against this team. Pretty much are all said and done as far as St. John's goes. But getting back to UConn, on the other hand, I think we talked about this earlier in the season. It's a list with check marks. All right. And the first check, I mean, that pretty much, I know it's not official yet, but it pretty much wraps up the Big East, to be honest with you. I mean, I have a really good feeling now about it as far as the conference goes. And again, I remember somebody commented one time and told me, they're like, well, you want to enjoy each win as they come. Yes, that's correct. But again, we're getting into the fact of the matter, what happens in March. And when you talk about that, now, not only did they lose against South Carolina, and South Carolina put up 80 points on UConn, right? South Carolina put up an 80 mark on them. But at the same time, Ryan, now you're talking about shutting down one of the best players in the country, and that was Segrist. All right. So when you do that, and she only had 20-some the other game, 20-some points against UConn. When you shut her down, and when you think about it, only a 9-point game final score, that's something really special, because usually when she puts up this, this is a player that puts 30, 40, 50 points up. So she did not do that. All right. When you think about it, if she would have just had not a whole lot better of a game, but just a little bit better of a game, that could have been a difference. So my point is, UConn's defense. Oh man, now you talk about the defensive side of the ball. If that can start heating up, because there's been some times where we see, and still right now, we're going through a process now. We're not used to, and I get it, it's a lot of injuries, but still we're not used to some of the best girls in the country, UConn that is, putting up 50, 60 a game. We're just not used to it. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. We're not used to it. And everybody knows what I mean. So 90 over 100, that's more like it. You're not going to get that every time, but that's more like it. But my point is, man, if you're going to roll into March Madness and you're only going, we're only going about 50, 60 a game per game against no matter what opponent it is, well, you're going to have almost spot on perfect defense to win any ball game. So is that what we're starting to see unfold before our eyes? Is it going to be the defense that suffocates these opponents, not only on the regular season schedule, but what I'm looking forward to more is next month?
Well, I hope so. I hope it's a change for the good in terms of what UConn can do moving forward. I would love to see the defense continue to do much similar things that they did against Villanova. And I think one of the best things UConn probably did in that game was defending the 3-point shot. Villanova only shot 5 for 25 from outside the 3-point arc. So I think that was probably UConn's main focus. Obviously, they knew Villanova is a very good 3-point shooting team. And I think in terms of March Madness, I think that's what a lot of teams try to do, is shoot the 3 ball. But sometimes teams are going to get it inside as well, and that's why we have Dorka and Aaliyah down there. So I think UConn, it's definitely a good step in the right direction in terms of the defense goes. But on offense, I know obviously we want to see them limit the turnovers. I'm tired of saying it. I'll try to not say it anymore, but I like I was saying on that game recap, I think it's kind of something that we just have to live with, and I think it's something that UConn just kind of had to deal with all season long, and they can't quite limit the mistakes, I guess, if you want to say. But I think it's definitely a boost of confidence what they were able to do to Maddie Segrist and really the whole Villanova offense, because they're a really talented offense, and to only hold them to almost 51 points, almost under 50, is pretty incredible, and it was pretty fun to watch.
All right, before we get into comments, Ryan, I want to make sure that, I say this over and over again. Sometimes, you and I on this podcast together, opinions, sometimes it doesn't always matter what Phil says. It doesn't always matter what Rye says. All right. But Ryan, I want to make sure that I make clear to everybody, and you, man, these people right now, man, that we have, our subscribers, are very important to us. And, sometimes you ever heard that saying, Ryan, that actions speak louder than words? I want to see even when it's losses. Okay. I want to see these people continue to comment and watch and subscribe, because guess what? I've seen a trend, and I'm not going into any names. You know, I would never do that to you all. No way. But I see a trend, man, as far as wins and losses. I want to make sure that I see the real UConn Huskies fans. And I want to believe that all of y'all are diehard fans. So again, keep coming through. Ryan, let's get the comments. UConn Huskies win intense battle against Villanova. Lindsey Matthews, a nice win for UConn. To me, it looked like a pro team. UConn playing a very much frightened high school team. Villanova, UConn got 43 rebounds, and that's just effort. I was shocked that Villanova didn't work to get their own rebounds. What plus UConn did all of the basics, making their free throws, spacing themselves, etc. They made mistakes, but they looked so disciplined and well coached. I'm so proud of them. And again, I'm not saying anything bad, but Lindsey Matthews, that's a name, Ryan, that we have not heard for a while. It's a pleasure to have her come back through.
Well, and it definitely was a good coaching job by UConn, because I'm sure Coach Gino had the game plan surrounded around Maddie Siegrist and what I just talked about, the 3-point shooting. But it was really the effort, which was also something really good to see in that game, because like we said before, sometimes the effort hasn't been there. And whether it's due to the injuries and the tiredness, mental, physical, all of the above, the effort was there on Saturday evening against Villanova. So that's something as well. I hope we can see it moving forward, is effort and just giving 100% on every single play, which is really hard to do. I realize that it's hard to do when these starters are playing 30 to 35 minutes, sometimes even the whole entire game out there. So I realize it's hard to go every single play, but that's what it takes to be a champion. We know that how that goes here in UConn. Everybody knows it. So yeah, it was good to see everybody hustling for the ball, getting the rebounds, and I think that was a huge reason why UConn was able to come out with the win.
How about Roland Hawkins? Do you understand statistics? Only one thing determines the winner of a basketball game. The one with the most points. There are only 3 ways to score points: made field goals, made 3-pointers, and made free throws. 4 of UConn's last 5 games have been totally decided by free throws made. UConn's last 3 wins without the made free throw advantage, they lose all 3. The Marquette game, UConn got beat in all 3. Even in the loss to South Carolina, if you don't count the made free throws, UConn wins by 3 points. This is the new normal until they start blowing teams out again. So they better practice their free throws and attempt to get to the line. Well, yeah, well, comment it away, Ryan, or break it down if you want. But let me just say, man, that again, we have to remember, I'm not saying anything necessarily bad about the fan base, but you have to remember, he's saying that this is the new normal. This is basically the new this is actually the normal for all sports teams. All right. Basically, what I'm trying to get you is, Ryan, this is just not lucky, not lucky. Oh, God forbid. I wouldn't say lucky ever. This is just how much skill that they've had in the years past and how much hard work that has been brought to this city. So let's just not go too far with this, Ryan. I mean, sometimes there never is, teams never get, as far as just blowing out opponents season after season. So we want to make sure that, that this is not a lost cause, if you will, Ryan.
Well, I mean, free throws are definitely something to keep in mind too. And a lot of times in the fourth quarter of a whole lot of games, whether it be in the regular season or postseason, it is what it comes down to. We saw that against South Carolina, where that was a big part of the game, and UConn somehow almost came all the way back thanks to fouling and free throws. So it's just something, it's obviously a big part of the game of basketball. That could decide, it very well could decide a lot of these games moving forward. So but yeah, UConn got to the line 26 times against Villanova. And that's great to see, because I think a lot of times this season they've probably only gotten to the line about 10 times. So being aggressive, driving to the ball, getting fouls. I said before, I know Coach Gino, when they get the ball down inside, he expects Aaliyah and Dorka to either make the basket, get fouled, or get both a basket and a foul. So it's definitely very important.
Colleen Ziembia, you two aren't true fans of UConn. You never doubt them out. Ha ha. You guys must be so sad that they won. Look, let me just tell you something, Colleen. Do not let anyone define your happiness.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I'm glad we got I'm glad we got proven wrong, and I'm really happy they won.
All right, Ryan, predictions here. How about this to make everybody just all of a sudden happy again? Like it's Christmas morning, Santa came, there's presents under the tree. Why not? How about I go 90 points in this matchup, Ryan? I'm going 90 to, let's say 90 to 45. How do you like it? 90 to 45, UConn all over St. John's. How do you like me now, Ryan?
I like it. I
All
love that
right.
score prediction. Mine's a little bit different this time. I'm gonna go
all right.
71 to 53 in favor of the UConn Huskies.
You don't have the 90 mark.
No, not quite. Just
Right. You're
just
saving that
under.
for March. You're saving that for next
Yeah,
month.
let's save the onslaughts for March. Yeah.
All right, Ryan. I'll see you right back here. Actually, I will not. So good luck tomorrow night, and I will see you for the next last check-in. Hopefully, it's a happy one for you tomorrow night.